Hello, good morning everyone, and welcome to the fifth and last Green Plus webinar. As you may already know, Green Plus 2022 is the first exhibition and conference revolving around the plastics and rubber sector, but with a focus on recycling, reuse, energy efficiency, and sustainability. The event is quickly approaching, as it is scheduled from May 3 to 6, and it will cover an entire hall in Fiera Milano. It will be also concurrent with other 4 important exhibitions: IPACHIMA, Print for All, Intralogistic Italia, and Farmtech. Today's webinar is the last of a series of online events that has led us directly to the exhibition. Each exhibitor had the chance to talk about its production and technologies and inform its customers, but most of all, its potential ones, about the innovations that will be displayed during the show. Today's companies represent a further example of how mechanical technology for recycling of plastic waste is able to give post-consumer material a new added value. These companies work in perfect harmony with a very popular process called environmental transition and compete to the realization of this change, providing the market with a cutting-edge technological solutions to make plastic circular so that it can be once again involved in our everyday life. We have here today as speakers Cmg Granulators and Moretto. I would like to inform you that unfortunately Amut cannot be with us today. Before we start, let me remind you that if you have any question, you can write them down in the Q&A section here below, and we will have a moment after the presentation to discuss all of your doubts. Now it's turn for our first speaker to start. We have here today Mr. Santella from Cmg Granulators. Welcome here today, Mr. Santella. Please proceed, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank the organizers for this interesting initiative and this series of webinars, which was very informative and very interesting. And I will go ahead with sharing my screen and start my presentation. All right. There we go. So the subject that I am introducing today is a circular economy. Circular economy is something that is normally discussed. Let me just check out which slide. Okay, all right. I believe that what I am displaying is my full screen and not my dashboard. So, all right. Circular economy is something that is normally discussed when it comes to recycling in general and to plastics recycling in particular. Now, what I will be introducing today is plastics recycling in the era of circular economy, because plastics recycling is by nature attributed, or any recycling activities by nature attributed to circular economy, but there is something more to it. So before going into the subject, I'd like to introduce my company, Cmg Granulators. We've been in business in more than 40 years, precisely 43 years, and we supply recycling systems and in particular shredders and granulators for recycling applications that are of various categories, not only recycling applications for post-consumer, but also recycling applications for industrial, post-industrial, and also for plastics production lines. Our equipment is Industry 4.0 compliant. So we provide to all our customers a certification of compliancy to Industry 4.0, which was released by an external party, an auditing firm to CMG still 4 years ago in 2018. So we've been pushing, we've been introducing the Industry 4.0 concepts to the recycling industry for 4 years already. In 43 years of activity, we've been installing many equipment, and today 30,000 units are those that are in operation. Obviously, 43 years is a long time, and what we've been supplying to our customers 43 years ago is very likely not anymore in operation. So what I'd like to display in this slide is the amount of equipment that is today contributing to achieving the objective of recycling the most possible post-industrial and post-consumer plastics. CMG operates in 6 specific application sectors. The majority are plastics related, which are thermoforming for predominantly the packaging industry, extrusion. In extrusion, we still are in the packaging industry, but also in building and construction. Blow molding for containers, all types of containers. Injection molding, particularly for highly technological injection molding applications where hot runners cannot be utilized, and the polymer being in use is of a very high value, and therefore we have runners, and we have runners made of highly valuable polymers, and customers want to recover them. Then recycling. Recycling is recycling of plastics, but recycling in general of many different materials. And recycling is predominantly post-consumer recycling, but also post-industrial recycling. In the recycling sector, one very specific sector for which we produce equipment purpose designed for such sector is the cables recycling. Cables carry a very high value because they're made with copper, and copper is a metal that carries a high value. Now, let's get into the subject of circular economy. So circular economy centric recycling solutions. Why circular economy centric recycling solutions? Because recycling solutions today have been in place and have been in operation for many years. So we do not only have customers that have new recycling systems, but we also have customers that have recycling systems that have been in place in a long time. So what is that we supply today? What is that we are offering today? Before going into that subject, let me review briefly with you what circular economy is. Now, the best of graphical representation that I found for circular economy is this, which is very simple. It's divided into 3 sectors: consumption and use, recycling and reuse, and manufacturing. If we look specifically to what circular economy means, is starting from the top right, use less to minimize waste. Now, use less is very important, and it is by no chance that it is the first element of this circle. Use less. Collect and sort waste. Stuff that we've been doing in a long time, and that we are improving. Minimize waste to landfill. Landfilling is still something that takes place in many countries in the world, and that is to be eliminated to obtain what? To obtain maximized recycling. So maximizing recycling means less natural resource use. Having said all of this, let's get to the technological section of the circular economy, which is designed for circular economy and manufactured for circular economy. This is the area where we operate. We as OEMs, suppliers of equipment. So how do we design for circular economy? How do we manufacture for circular economy? At the end of the day, circular economy is a concept, it's something that is not being part of our lives in such a long time. If we go and check circular economy in Wikipedia, we will see that it says it's an economic system aimed at eliminating waste and the continual use of resources. So it's very concise, very clear what circular economy is, conceptually speaking. In 2013, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation released a report which was the first of its kind. 2013, so 9 years ago, towards circular economy, economic and business rationale for an accelerated transition. So see, we're speaking of transition to what? Transition to going from what we have heard so much in recent times, from a linear to a circular economy. This was 2013. In 2018, 5 years after the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, and other finance, politics, and public-private contributors put together a platform for, again, accelerating circular economy. So the transition to circular economy, this was 2018. So we're getting very, very close to modern times. And 2018, same year, the ISO, the International Standardization Organization that we all know, established a technical committee for circular economy, TC 232. So what happened? What has happened from 2018 to today, in particular, what has happened to the technologies? What is that companies like us, technology providers, solutions providers, have done? Well, when it comes to CMG, what we have developed is a very, very new, innovative, and unique control for our equipment that we have called AMP, the Adaptive Motor Power. Now, what is the AMP? If we go into a recycling plant and we check what the equipment in operation, and particularly how the equipment in operation is controlled, in many, many occasions, we see this, a control which is a very old-fashioned control. Why? Because the equipment that the recycling industry utilizes today is equipment that was installed several years ago. We don't need to go back by 20 or 30 years. But if we go back by 10 or 15 years, we see stuff like this. So the question is was this actually designed for circular economy? But the most important point is, will this allow our customer to manufacture for circular economy? Very likely the answer is no. There is not sufficient technology applied to this, so to improve the efficiency, the operativity, the capacity of the system being utilized. Now, when we switch to today, we may be offered with something like this. We do not really need controls of this category. I mean, we are not in the industry that requires this type of controls. What we have done as CMG, we have designed controls that can help the industry transition to manufacturing for circular economy. So our AMP is a control associated to a new generation of equipment that is able to optimize to the highest possible level the operations of the equipment, and in particular of grinding the plastic to smaller particles so that those particles can be recycled. So what are the features and what's the performance of the AMP. So the AMP is a control applicable to granulators, and the first control that it performs is the rotor shaft torque control. What's the rotor shaft? The rotor shaft is this. So this is the rotor where the grinding takes place, and this is the shaft. The shaft gives the motion to the rotor, and this is the pulley for the rotor. So what the AMP does is control the torque applied to the rotor shaft. Why does it do that? Because by doing that, we understand that exactly what's the load on the rotor, and therefore we adjust the motor power. Why is that important? Because when it comes to grinding plastics, what we see is a variety of materials that change the conditions of operation of a granulator. So we can have big pieces of plastic, small pieces of plastic, thick or thin parts, warm or cold parts, lots of plastic or very little plastic. So very, very many variables that by controlling the granulator and by appreciating the rotor shaft torque applied, we can turn all those variables into parameters and control them. And on top of controlling them, also calibrate the cutting capacity. So when we have little to grind, we can calibrate and provide small power. When we have big to grind, we can calibrate and provide large power. Optimize knife wearing. In particularly post-consumer recycling, we have a high degree of utilization of the blades, and therefore the blades for post-consumer recycling in the granulator might require sharpening, might require maintenance once a week, even less, maybe once every 4 to 5 days. By optimizing knife wearing, we can go from 1 week to 2 weeks. We can go from 4 to 5 days to 8 to 10 days. So a very big advantage to the operator. And an enhanced drive transmission. That's important because a granulator that operates by varying the conditions of operation requires some specifically designed transmission. What are the advantages and the benefits of the AMP? If we look at the CO2 emissions, I have this chart, which is from 2017. I haven't found any more recent, but if we look at the CO2 emissions in gigaton, we see that in the latest 60 years, they have increased dramatically. And this is something that was also discussed at the COP26 recent from last year, where our world is in jeopardy, and we have to find ways to reduce the CO2 emissions. This is from the International Energy Agency, where we see that by optimizing the energy utilization and energy production, we will reduce the global CO2 emissions. We are from the end of 2021 to 2025, as you can appreciate, the reduction of CO2 emissions will be by more than 60% represented by efficiency, by improving the efficiency of the equipment. And energy utilization, 50% of the energy utilization in the world is utilized by motors, by electric motors. So imagine by applying an advanced control to electric motors, what we can obtain. In conclusion, if we look at a granulator workload, we see that a granulator can work in a constant manner, in a cyclical manner, and in a variable manner. What does that mean? That if we have to pick the grinding capacity of the granulator, we have to consider those conditions of operation, the highest of the demand, and put some extra power to the granulator, so to be sure that we can cope with the request, with the workload. But if we look at it in particular, we'll see a conditional constant workload with a granulator having this capacity, the blue line. We have this area in the red box, which is the extra capacity. And the extra capacity equals to extra energy utilized by the granulator that was not necessary. In a cyclical workload, same thing. This is the capacity of the granulator. This is what's required of the granulator. And in the red box, we see how much extra capacity the granulator has. Not to talk about variable workload, which is the worst of the conditions. So, if we look at the conditions of operation of a granulator without the AMP, all those red areas are the areas of inefficiency. If we look at the same granulator with an AMP control, we got no more areas of inefficiencies. So to obtain energy savings, we should go from a 10-20% of constant workloads to above 50% with variable workloads. The return on the investment in a constant workload is in the range of 2 years. The return on the investment in a variable workload is less than 12 months. So very, very rapid. And associated advantages to the energy utilization optimization are all of these. So the homogeneous frequent dimensions, no dust generation, longer blade lives, reduced maintenance, and the lowest total cost of ownership, of course. I thank you very much for your attention, and if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Santella, for your presentation. Now we have from Moretto, Mr. Bortolato. Welcome here today, Mr. Bortolato. Just a second. I think we might have a problem with the connection with Moretto. So since we are waiting for, okay, no, we have Moretto now. Please,
here we
Mr.
are.
Bortolato, the stage is yours.
Here we are. Sorry for the mistake. The problem happened. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you to Greenplast and Amaplast for this opportunity. Before starting the presentation, I would like to introduce a little bit our company. And so Moretto is a company that has been founded in 1980 and is today presenting technology and solution for the plastics sector, let's say, and for sustainable process and responding to the increased need for the companies in order to process regenerated material from post-consumer recycling. Okay. So as I told you, it has been founded in 1980, and we design and develop produces automation auxiliary for equipment in the plastic company and for the plastic company. And it is, let's say, we spend a lot of our resources in continuous innovation and pioneering technology in order to produce the most advanced solution and rising the level of products in excellence and try to exceed our customer expectations. So Moretto, just an overview of the presence in the world, is present with the 8 direct offices in the world and more than 70 distributors or dealers that are able, let's say, to supply services in line with our standards and are equipped with automatic warehouse for spare parts in order to assure immediate shipment and to provide the same high level and quality of service to our customers. Also, regarding the technology and solution, our commitment consists in providing a product deeply interconnected with the business processes, which is very important these days. Connectivity now is essential, and then needed to be implemented and improved every single day. So currently, almost all our system, all our products are in line with the smart factory requirement. And this is a need for the today world that is connected, and the performance need to be measured and continued monitored. So our MOVI supervising system, it is a software developed in-house, and it is just developed to manage the whole production processes. And thanks to the new recent OPC way technology for connection and protocol, can connect to any network of the customer and any process of the customer. As regard of the webinar topic, and speaking about recycling technologies this moment, today the market is very demanding in terms of skill and services. So the processors are more and more looking for the advanced equipment, able to work with high percentages of recycled materials. The global regulation also are pushing for an increase of use of recycled materials and their enhancement. So just an example, European legislation, according to which by the 2030, the packaging must contain 30% of recycled material. Or there are events like the one organized by IRA Group that are promoting artistic projects called SCART that transform industrial waste in artwork. So in this regard, it is essential to develop and implement solutions that make possible to reduce the use of exhaustible resources. So flexible solutions are needed for recovery of recycled material. So Moretto offers automation for granulation, storage, conveying, dosing, blending, and drying of post-consumer plastic materials. So if we look at last year, or 2 years ago actually, in 2020, more or less 29 million, 30 million tons of post-consumer plastic waste has been collected by the European country, including the Norway and Switzerland, and also UK. And if we see these graphics, we see that more or less 35% of this plastic waste has been recycled, 42% has been destined to the energy recovery, and unfortunately, still 23% are going destined to the landfill. But fortunately, looking at these graphics, we see that in the recent 15 years, more or less, from 2006 to 2020, if we look at the blue line, the percentage of recycling has increased a lot, more than 100%. As well, the plastic waste that has been destined to the energy recovery has increased a lot, more than double. So as a consequence, also the landfill, so the plastic waste destined to the landfill has been reduced from 12,000 million tons, more or less, to down to 7.5. So it is clear that in the plastic sector and the post-industrial recycled material have the opportunity to be transformed in new products. Oh, sorry. What's going on? Excuse me. So I was saying the post-consumer plastics can be transformed in a wide variety of new components for a new life. Looking at that, we can see that the most common use of the plastic recycled material are the building and construction. Then we see the packaging, agriculture, and then we see automotive and electrical, electronic, leisure, and sports. So let's introduce Moretto products that can help on the recycling. So the solution that we that contribute to the correct and effective treatment of the recycled material in each step of the process. Size reduction and grinding of material coming from the post-industrial sorting is the first step. So we have the Eco Series granulators that are built for heavy use and with the generous load capacity. They are suitable for use in the waste recovery department, centralized department, and consist of rotor with multi-blades, cutting scissors, and are equipped with the latest generation of motors. Then the pellets, the regrind material, the flakes need to be packed and transferred to the plastic processing plants. So the fill bag enables the automatic filling of big bags with bulk materials. Fill bags is easy to use and perform very simple, and it is quick for filling operation. Again, material need to be conveyed to the final machinery. So material conveying is a very important phase. So vacuum units and self-vacuum cleaning filter guarantee transfer of large quantity of flakes, dusty grind, repelletized material that are coming from the shredding or the extruders. Vortex, the vortex effect protect the filters with the first centrifugal separation, and then those solutions are designed for hard work, heavy work, and are modular in order to be ready to satisfy any type of application. In the following slides, I will present some Moretto solution for the blending and dosing of any kind of recipes, including any type of material. So Gravix, the one that we see in the picture now, is a batch gravimetric blender, which is capable to blend flakes, dusty grinds, granules, microgranules, and powder. The DGM Gravix has been specifically designed for the treatment of bottle flakes, rPET, and in the PET sectors. The next one, Gramixo, is a continuous losing waste batch blender that manages the extruder to ensure the constant weight per meter ratio. It is suitable for the use of regenerated raw materials. And the last one, Gravico, is a multi-component losing weight gravimetric blender. Actually, is a feeder with automatic weight per meter adjustment, capable to processing dosing recipes where the raw material used can have different granulometry and different specific weight. At the end, let's say an essential element in the treatment of the PET is the crystallization. It's a dedicated process for regenerating flakes and amorphous material that comes from post-consumer waste. Moretto MPK crystallizer is a system designed to convert amorphous material into crystalline state in order to be processed in the same time. So MPK is easy to use thanks to its central control panel, allowing the control of each single phase of this crystallization. And that is easy to use for the cleaning because it is fundamental feature for this kind of application that are processing post-consumer material, especially to limit the, let's say, the production change over time during the cleaning operation. So the drop-down cone, as we can see on the right side, assisted with a device, allows for a complete access of the internal components of the crystallizer for a deep cleaning. Another very important step during the crystallization and also the drying of the material is the Purex. Purex is a condensate separation that is going to reduce the volatile substances and vapors trapped into the material, removing all the contaminants released by the material itself. And so it is keeping the dry air cleaned. Filtration is made possible by a cyclone, and as well as a series of condensation rings that capture most of the volatile substance. Purex is very important for, as I told you, for the crystallizer and drying phases. And after the crystallization and, let's say, filtering, the drying, all the crystallized material need to be dried. So Xmax is an on-demand drying system with a self-adaptive technology that optimizes process operating and reduce energy consumption. It adapts automatically to the production need, thanks to the variable airflow that guarantees the correct supply of dry air. It is a completely modular, so that it is a system that can grow with the need, with the company. So from a basic system of consisting of 3 modules can be expanded to 10 modules covering a dehumidification needs up to 12,000 kg per hour. It is also a one power system that does not require compressed air or cooling water. As well as the other equipment, Xmax can be connected to the MOVIS, our supervising system, and can communicate can connect to any network of the customer. One important element of the drying is the drying hopper. So the drying hopper has been completely redesigned by Moretto, which is completely different from any traditional drying hopper. It is called OTX, Original Thermal Exchange. So thanks to the exclusive patent geometry, it solves the problems of the granular mass flow. At the same time, it achieves an extraordinary efficiency compared to any other hopper in the market. OTX is also equipped with this exclusive, let's say, spiral device, spiral coating that make it shock-proof for ambient, like industrial ambient. Then integrate removable internal filter and the viewer device control for checking the operation status at any time. And the enlarged accessing door makes the OTX very easy to use. Also, the drop-down cone offers the easy access for cleaning and maintenance operations. So, just concluding, we are fully committed to create systems, processes, and services oriented to be environmentally sustainable and improve plant productivity, pioneering and cutting-edge solutions that guarantee excellent products, safeguarding the planet, our future, and especially that our children. Thank you for being listening.
So thank you, Mr. Bortolato, for your presentation. In the meantime, we received a couple of questions for each speaker. We'll just have one for each one now. We have for CMG, if Mr. Santella is ready.
Yes.
This question. Okay. Have you already supplied and installed systems equipped with the AMP controls? If yes, for which applications and what were the results?
Okay, yes. Going back to my presentation, depending on the application, we have different results. First of all, thank you for the question, and thank you for giving me the opportunity of further elaborating on the subject. Yes, we have installed the AMP on applications in the plastics processing industry and in applications with post-consumer recycling. In particular, the two occasions that come up to my mind now, which are very significant, is one application for blow molding. So you know that in blow molding, the blow molding process encompasses production of constant scrap, and that scrap must be recycled in line. So it's a recycling application for plastics processing. By applying the EMP on a series of blow molding granulators, we have achieved energy savings which were close to 40%. So very, very impressive results to the fullest satisfaction of the customer. When it comes to post-consumer recycling, the application that I like to mention is the one for the granulation of rigid plastics. In this case, we're handling pre-shredded polyethylene, and the application was for 5,000 kilos an hour, and the energy savings were in excess of 20%. A granulator that runs 5,000 kilos per hour of pre-shredded material is a granulator that is equipped with a 250 horse motor. So a 20% savings means a considerable saving in energy utilization, particularly these days that energy cost is very, very high.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Santella. We selected also one question for Moretto. Mr. Bortolato, the question is, the plastic sector is constantly evolving. In your opinion, what will be the future processors need?
Thank you. Good question. Of course, let's say the plastic sector is a complex business for, let's say, both the high innovation level that is typical of this sector, and also for the critical aspects, let's say, critical issues related to the massive use of plastics products. So processor need that we face every day are, let's say, oriented to the necessity to have a workshop updated with a high performance equipment and technological advanced equipment that allow to optimize the production processes regardless, let's say, the material treated. So also processor need is to guarantee to rely to a trusted, experienced company and partner supplier. So Moretto is just that. So a partner that is working with the customer, analyzing their needs in order to provide a dedicated and tailor-made and guaranteed solution.
Thank you, Mr. Bortolato. So what else do we have to say today? I would like, first of all, to thank our speakers for being part of this last webinar. And we, of course, thank everyone that took part in this last gathering. And we would like to remind you that pre-sales for ticket is open in our website. You should go to visitors pre-registration page. You may get there your entrance ticket at a discounted rate. Green Plus will be open for visitors from May 3 to 6 from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Be also reminded that during Green Plus will take place also Packaging Speaks Green, which is the International Forum on Sustainable Packaging. On the website packagingspeaksgreen.com, you will find all the relevant information, including the updated agenda. For any further information, you may also contact our secretariat. We are always available at info@greenplus.org. What we have to say, we hope to see you all at Green Plus and meet again in person finally. Thank you and see you soon.